Good morning, Virgo. There is a particular kind of wisdom that does not arrive gently, not the wisdom of a slow sunrise, not the kind that eases itself into your awareness over time with patience and grace. There is another kind entirely, the kind that arrives the way cold water arrives, sudden, clarifying, impossible to ignore. The kind that cuts through every comfortable story you have been telling yourself and leaves only what is true standing in the aftermath. That is the energy moving through your situation right now, and the voice carrying it is not cruel. It is not harsh for the sake of harshness. It is the voice of someone who has lived long enough, felt enough, lost enough, and understood enough to know the difference between a situation worth waiting in and a situation that is quietly, invisibly consuming the best of who you are while dressed up as something it is not. That voice has something to say, and today it is going to say it directly. So come in close, settle into this, because what is unfolding in the energetic field around your situation right now is not comfortable, but it is necessary. And somewhere beneath the part of you that came here hoping for reassurance, there is a deeper part, a wiser part, a part that has known for longer than you have been willing to admit that what you actually need right now is not more comfort. What you need is clarity. Let us begin. The energetic atmosphere surrounding your situation at this particular moment has a very specific quality to it. It has the quality of a crossroads, not the dramatic, cinematic kind where lightning strikes and the choice is obvious, the quiet kind, the internal kind, the kind that exists not in the external landscape of your life, but in the interior space where you have been having a conversation with yourself late at night, in the moments between sleep and waking, in the pauses during ordinary days when the noise dies down long enough for the truth to get a word in. You have been standing at this crossroads for some time, perhaps longer than you have consciously acknowledged. And the energy of this moment is not asking you to make a sudden reactive decision. It is asking you to finally, fully look at where you are standing, to stop softening the edges of it, to stop giving the benefit of the doubt so generously that there is no doubt left to protect you, to look at the actual landscape of what you are in, what it has been costing you, and what it has and has not been returning, because there is a wise presence in the energetic field around you right now, an archetypal force that carries the particular gravity of someone who sees everything clearly and loves you enough to refuse to let you continue not seeing it. And that presence has something to say about the person you have been waiting for. Let us talk about what has been happening beneath the surface of this connection. Because the subconscious currents running through the dynamic between you and this person are extraordinarily telling, and they paint a picture that the surface narrative, the one you have perhaps been curating out of hope or loyalty, or the particular blindness that deep feeling can produce, does not fully capture. There is an imbalance in this connection, not a small one, not the ordinary correctable imbalance that exists in every relationship during certain seasons when one person is going through something and the other holds more of the weight for a while before the natural equilibrium restores itself. What the energy is reflecting here is a more structural imbalance, one that has been present not as a phase but as a pattern, one that has perhaps been dressed up in various explanations over time, timing, circumstance, personal history, fear, this reason, and then that reason, but that, when stripped of its explanations, reveals something worth examining with honest eyes. You have been more committed to this connection than this person has shown themselves to be, not because you are weak, not because you are naive, but because you feel things deeply, you invest fully. And when you care about something, you bring the entirety of yourself to it without holding back. These are not flaws. These are, in fact, among the most beautiful things about you, but they have created a situation in which your wholehearted presence has been existing alongside something considerably more partial. And the wise energy moving through this reading has no interest in helping you make peace with that disparity. Its interest is in helping you see it clearly enough to do something about it. The subconscious pattern at work here is one the wise voice recognizes immediately because it is ancient. It is as old as human longing itself. It is the pattern of someone extraordinary, and you are extraordinary, pouring their energy into a connection that has not yet decided whether it wants to fully receive what is being offered. The pattern of waiting, hoping, adjusting, accommodating, making yourself smaller in certain moments and larger in others, trying to find the precise configuration of yourself that will finally make this person choose you completely, choose you clearly, choose you without the reservation and the ambiguity and the maddening half-presence that has characterized their engagement until now. And the wise voice, the one that has earned its wisdom through the particular curriculum of lived experience, looks at this pattern and says something that lands with the quiet force of absolute truth. You should not have to make someone want to stay. Let that settle. Do not rush past it. Do not immediately soften it or qualify it or find the exception that lets you off the hook from really hearing it. You should not have to earn, perform, or strategically position yourself into someone's full commitment. Commitment, genuine commitment, the kind that is worth having, the kind that can actually hold the weight of a real life shared between two people, does not arrive as the result of someone finally being convinced. It arrives because someone looks at you clearly and completely and knows, and having known, chooses fully, without the hedging, the stalling, the perpetual almost that has been the texture of what you have been receiving. Now we arrive at the psychological heart of this reading. And this is where the wise voice becomes most direct, most unflinching, most genuinely loving in its refusal to participate in anything less than the full truth. There are people in this world who exist in a state of permanent almost, who are capable of enough warmth to keep you close, enough presence to make you feel seen, enough moments of genuine connection to sustain your hope, but who, when it comes to the moment of full commitment, the moment of clear, unambiguous, I am choosing this and I am choosing you, find themselves suddenly unavailable, suddenly uncertain, suddenly in need of more time, more space, more of the thing they have already had abundantly and used to arrive at no conclusion. This is not always malicious. That is important to understand. And the wise voice understands it with a clarity that comes from having no investment in making anyone a villain. Sometimes this pattern belongs to someone who is genuinely afraid, someone whose history has left them with a relationship to commitment that is layered with old pain, old loss, old experiences of what happens when you give yourself fully, and it does not end the way you hoped. But here is what the wise voice knows. The thing it has learned through the particular education of watching this pattern play out across many lives in many forms over and over again with a consistency that is impossible to ignore. Their fear, however real, however understandable, however genuinely rooted in something that happened to them before you ever arrived in their life, is not your responsibility to heal. You cannot love someone into readiness. You cannot wait someone into clarity. You cannot be patient and understanding and endlessly accommodating your way into someone else's willingness to show up fully. That willingness either exists in a person or it does not. And if it does not exist yet, if it is still somewhere in the process of developing, then the question that the wise energy is placing in front of you right now is a very practical one. How much of your life are you willing to spend waiting for a process that may or may not complete itself, and at what cost? Because there is a cost. This is what the wise presence in your field wants you to feel fully, rather than continue to rationalize away. There is a cost to remaining in the orbit of someone who has not committed to you. It is paid in the currency of your time, which is the most finite resource you possess. It is paid in the currency of your emotional energy, which has a genuine limit regardless of how resilient you are. It is paid in the opportunity cost of the connections, the experiences, the versions of your life that are not available to you while you remain in the holding pattern of waiting for this person to decide. And perhaps most significantly, it is paid in the slow, subtle erosion of your own sense of what you deserve. Because when we remain in situations that do not fully honor us, when we accept the almost as though it were the thing itself, we send ourselves a message, a quiet, persistent, deeply damaging message that says, this is what you are worth, this is the level of commitment you can expect, this is what love looks like for someone like you. And that message, absorbed over time, reshapes the interior. It changes how you see yourself. It changes what you reach for. It changes the quiet, foundational sense of your own value in ways that can take a very long time to undo. The wise voice will not allow this to continue without naming it, because naming it is the beginning of something different. Now, the energy shifts, because this reading is not only about diagnosis, it is about what happens next. There is a message moving through the field of this connection, and it is one that the wise presence wants transmitted clearly to the energy of the person who has been standing in this place of perpetual almost. Not with anger, not with ultimatum energy born from desperation or hurt, but with the particular grounded, unshakable calm of someone who has finally arrived at their own clarity and is speaking from that place rather than from fear or longing or the anxious need to hold something together. The message is this: the season of waiting is over. Not because a deadline has been imposed from the outside, not because someone issued a threat or drew a line in the sand out of frustration, but because something has shifted in the interior of the person they have been taking for granted. Something has reorganized itself around a clearer, firmer, more self-honoring understanding of what is acceptable and what is not. And that reorganization, that internal shift is real. It is not a bluff. It is not a strategy designed to provoke a reaction. It is the authentic movement of a person who has finally, fully chosen themselves. That choice changes everything. Not because it is designed to change anything in the other person, but because it changes the one who makes it. When you genuinely, from the deepest and most honest place in your being, decide that you will no longer make yourself smaller to fit inside someone else's ambiguity, the entire energetic field of the dynamic shifts. The relationship between you and the situation changes. You are no longer waiting at a door, hoping it will open. You are walking, and the direction you are walking is toward your own life, your own fullness, your own future. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that is the precise moment the door opens. Not because walking away is a tactic, but because the energy of a person who has genuinely, completely reclaimed their own value and is no longer available to remain in a dynamic that does not honor it, that energy is utterly different from the energy of someone who is waiting. And people feel the difference, even when they cannot articulate it, even when they are not consciously aware of it. The person who has been existing in the comfortable certainty that you will remain, regardless of how little they offer, feels something change when that certainty dissolves. Whether that feeling moves them to finally show up fully, that is not something the energy can determine. That belongs to their free will, their readiness, the interior work that only they can do. But what the wise voice is saying, with the full weight of everything it has learned and everything it has witnessed, is that it no longer matters whether it moves them, because you will have already moved. As we arrive at the close of this reading, the wise presence in your field wants to leave you with something, not a warning, not a prediction, something closer to a reminder of what you have perhaps temporarily forgotten in the middle of this situation. You are not someone who should be waiting to be chosen. You are someone who should be standing in the fullness of who you are, in the genuine, extraordinary, irreplaceable specificity of what you bring to this world and to the people fortunate enough to share it with you, and allowing the right people, the ready people, the people whose level of commitment matches the level of your worth to find you there. Commitment is not a gift that someone with more power than you bestows upon you when they finally decide you have earned it. It is a mutual recognition, an equal exchange between two people who see each other clearly and choose each other deliberately. Anything less than that is not commitment. It is audition, and you have been auditioning for long enough. The wise voice has spoken. Now the question is whether you are ready to listen, not to the voice outside of you, but to the one inside, the one that has known your worth all along and has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to remember it too. That voice is not asking you to be hard. It is not asking you to be cold or closed or defended against the possibility of love. It is asking you to be honest with yourself first and then with everything else. Honest about what you need. Honest about what you have been receiving. Honest about the distance between those two things and what you are willing to do about it. Commit to you or lose you. That is not an ultimatum spoken in anger. That is a truth spoken in love. The deepest, wisest, most genuinely caring love available in this situation. And it is coming from the part of you that has never once stopped believing you deserve the real thing.